of, okay, now we're live. Sing, Renee, sing.
You want me to sing?
Yep.
To be judged a hit by someone qualified, click. That's some bell curve shit, because I'm cool like this. And how I get my swerve on, I keep hitting nerve bombs, relax, it's numb, and carry on and carry on.
That's not Paul Abdul. I told everybody that we were singing Paul Abdul.
Straight up now, tell me, are you really gonna love me forever? Or are you just having fun?
Do, 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 do. Okay. Renee, will you start us off?
Yes.
Thank you.
What are your top stories for this week? What should I tease? What are the most important things?
We're gonna do AirPods.
Gee, I wonder.
All right, Apple event all the time?
Yeah. Do you have our show notes?
I do. They're in like one of 1900 windows that I'm trying to desperately sort through right now.
The new product stuff, new rumored product stuff, and the rest of the things that we think Apple may or may not.
What we won't get, but we want this to get.
Yeah.
I open Chrome just to do this, and it makes me suffer. It makes me suffer for it. All right, I'm ready. Are you good, Lori? You good, Georgia?
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm
Let's
ready.
do this.
All right. It is Friday, March 22, 2019. I'm Renee Ritchie, and right now we're going to talk all about new iPads, new iMacs, new AirPods, and Apple's March 25, 2019 event, because this is the iMore Show. Joining me right now is Lori Gill, the mother of dragons, the queen of iMore, the person who just takes every single product Apple launches every damn day and breaks it down into every aspect you need to know. How you doing, Lori Gill?
Good, thank you. This week was kind of the craziest breaking of down things. Brutal.
How many articles do you think you got out from the team this week?
We're well over 100 at this point, but
wow.
we're getting up to almost 140, I think.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lori is legit badass at this stuff. It's amazing. Also joining us, we do not have Micah Sargent this week. He had a doggy emergency, so we're sending all our love to Micah. Micah and the Chihuahuas, but we do have the inimitable Georgia Dow, who is going to remind us all that amongst this technology, we sure could use a little bit of humanity. How you doing, Georgia?
I'm good.
Good? Just good?
That's it.
I'm okay.
I'm good. All right.
Screw you guys, I'm going home. Screw you guys, I'm going home. There we go.
I love that you have
some Apple products.
So on the first day of Apple, Miss Tim Apple gave to us new iPad pads. Yeah, so I was on a plane. So like Apple just said come to New York, and they don't tell you anything. And like you can guess, but you never know for sure. So I was on a plane, and then it hit 8:30 and Apple's newsroom lit up, and suddenly without them telling me, I knew why I was then in New York, because it was the new iPad Air 5th generation, and so new iPad Mini 5th generation, and iPad Air 3rd generation. And what did you think when you saw that go up, Laurie?
I went, what?
Oh God,
like
oh God.
The most outdated of the Apple iPads, the ones that we all just thought, it's over. They're never coming back.
Yeah, put away.
And the most bizarre thing is like twitter.com @Tim_Cook. All you see is a picture of him with an iPad mini and a pencil, and it just says hello. And I love like new Tim Cook is like the AOC of Apple Twitter all of a sudden.
Yeah, totally.
He's just in there memeing, slamming. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. Somebody else must be taking care of his Twitter feed or something.
Yeah, no, it was good though. Yeah, so what? Are you a fan of these iPad form factors, Georgia? Because we've been pro with like giant screens for a long time now.
I really like. I have to say I like small. Like I like small because of light, because you can bring it around everywhere. So I liked that. I'm not a huge I will use my laptop over using my iPad, but I have to say that. Sorry, I'm sounding too far away. Let me move that. So. I like it. I think that small, cute, lightweight, carry in your purse, bring everywhere, has a lot of use cases.
I gave it to your son, and I did not get it back.
Well, no,
I gave it to your 10-year-old. He did the most amazing art, because you couldn't draw on an iPad mini before. It did not have. It had an A8 processor, not an A8X like the iPad Air 2. Did not have pencil support. It was aging, and I mean, he was drawing and animating and doing all sorts of stuff, like better than me within about 5 minutes.
Yeah, he was, and it was effortless to use.
And the size was great for him.
Exactly, because you can bring it around. So I think a lot of people that want the portability, something that they can put into a large pocket, be able to carry with them, carry in a purse. This fits beautifully to that. And I love
you guys
that.
Have skinny hipster jeans, but me and Dalrymple have these big baggy jeans, and it goes right in our back pocket. You can't sit on it.
You can't sit on it. No,
your iPad Mini actually does fit in your back pocket, Renee.
Yeah, and Dalrymple, I've seen carry it like that, like just walk around with it in his back pocket.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Too much information for early on a Friday morning.
Yeah, remind me not to borrow your iPad Mini. I ordered the iPad Mini. There is obviously I don't need one because I've got iPad Pro. I've got 2 iPad Pros. But just like George is saying, I went for it because I was thinking, okay, I'm ready to try something that I can carry with me all the time, everywhere. Yeah. I don't carry my iPad Pro with me everywhere. I don't want to hurt it. So I take it with me when I need to use it, but I don't just like go to a party or go to, dinner or something with it. And having the iPad Mini be such a small form factor, I think I'm looking forward to trying this out and seeing how useful it is to me. And the price point is pretty darn good to own an iPad of another form.
Right?
$399, and if you already own a different iPad, it's not that much more to get a second one. So there is, for a lot of people out there that can afford this technology, it's like, well, why not get a second one? The iPad Mini kind of fits in that category, whereas none of the other iPads fit in the I've already got one, and why not get another category? Because well, yeah, they're the same size. There might be like stronger or like have faster technology ones. Like, of course, the iPad Pro would be the top of the line, but are you going to get an iPad Pro and then go get an iPad Air? Because why not get one with less power?
But if I've had the iPad Mini since Monday. Apple loaned me one on Monday so I could do the review. And I wasn't sure about it because I used to like the iPad Mini, but as soon as the Apple Pencil came out, I did not touch the thing anymore, full disclosure. And I've been using I used the 10.5-inch iPad Pro the previous generation. Then I went to the 12.9-inch because it's so much lighter now. And it's just such a big, beautiful canvas. And I also have an iPhone XS Max, which is a pretty beefy phone. So I wasn't sure there was any room in between anymore. But what I noticed was like just having the pencil made so much difference to me because it literally became digital field notes. It was like that notebook that I always used to use as a kid, my sketching book. I could take it with me anywhere. I can hold it in one hand. It's like, it's palmable. You can draw with the other hand. You don't have to like put it on your lap or anything. You can sit there and take notes. And it's also because the aspect ratio is 4:3 and not 16.5:9 or whatever 19.5:9, like the modern iPhones, which are big, but they're also super tall and super skinny. And if you bring up like an ebook, a comic book, a PDF you want to mark up, pages, document, spreadsheet, anything that you want to work on, it's constrained by the width, which is tiny on an iPhone. And even though the iPad Mini is only like twice the size, which doesn't seem like much, once you get that aspect ratio, it just fills the entire screen. And I put up like a scene from Spider-Man because Stanley hearts. And it's so much bigger. And I know some people think it's too small to draw on. I've been having a blast drawing on it, but also like marking up PDFs and just doing documents. It's so great.
It's nice because without the pencil, your hand takes up a lot of the screen and you really can't see it. With a pencil, it's a game changer for it because now you can see the screen while you work and it's exceptionally portable. Renee, I was wanting to go through what are the features that it has versus the features that it does not have for people that want to know, should I get this versus should I not get this? Because the price point is great. Very affordable, even for schools, for hospitals.
Yeah, I think schools and enterprise will get a bulk discount if Apple holds true to pattern and be able to get like packs of 20 of them or something. So there's a couple ways to look at it. One of the problems with our little tech bubble, and I love all of our people in our tech bubble, is that they're comparing it to the other current or maybe previous generation models. And humans don't buy iPads every year, and they certainly don't buy multiple iPads every year, very rarely. Even with phones, like you buy one and then like 5 years later when it starts to fail you look at another one. So like the iPhone XS, comparing it to an iPhone 10 services maybe like 1% of the people. Comparing it to an iPhone 6S, which it's huge for most people because that's the phone they still have. So if you look just back at even like the iPad Mini 3, which my sister has been using for years, or even the iPad Mini 4, which is the last one I got, like going on 4 years old, the leap from an A8 to an A12 is immense. It's got like the neural network, the neural engine in it, so it can just fly through all the computational photography stuff, all the set stuff, like apps that use Core ML to like suggest the best real estate photos for your home listing, or to just automatically fix that picture for you. Really, really great. It's also got the fully laminated screen, which the current super cheap iPad does not have. And for some people, they don't notice that. Like they don't notice P3 color range, but it's just like if you use it outdoors or in harsh lighting, it's much easier on your eyes. The only thing it's really missing is the cameras. I'm still not happy about because they're the old 8 megapixel. The front camera is amazing now, but the back one is the old 8 megapixel camera, not the new hot 12 megapixel camera the pros have. And there's no smart keyboard. And I know it's ridiculous, but I really want to see Apple try to make a super tiny keyboard that I can still use.
Yeah, I think that's there. It's such a small tablet that having a keyboard that feels comfortable, that would be impressive. That's
what if it folded out
impossible.
again? Like you fold it down and then you fold it out again.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
That'd be a great idea.
That would be a really good idea. Or again, you could have one that folded around and then folded
like a
down
folio.
Yeah.
Lori, if someone wants to buy this, what would be the accessories you would say you should definitely get with your Mini?
If you're getting the Mini, I definitely would say, especially if you're the kind of person who wants to throw it in your backpack or your purse, you maybe want to get a screen protector and a case because that's what my plan is. I'm just going to toss it in a bag. So it's going to be mixed in with all my other things that like could knock up against it and scratch it. Outside of that though, I mean, maybe get yourself a pair of headphones or get the AirPods so that you can listen to music. Definitely get the Apple Pencil. That's an obvious.
The Apple Pencils. Yeah, that's not an option. You should get a pencil if you have, which is about
the first generation is $99. The iPad Mini only works with the first generation Apple Pencil. It does not work with the second generation Apple Pencil, but that's also giving you a deal. And the difference between Apple Pencil 1 and Apple Pencil 2 is like, the second generation one has a flat edge, so it doesn't roll off the table. It has a magnetic charger to clip to the top of an iPad Pro, and you can tap to activate a different feature, which right now...
So the pencil, does it stick to the Mini on its own, or does it need to have a case for that?
It'll need to have a case. Yeah, there's no magnetic thing for it to stick to it. Yeah, so it's...
Make sure you get the one that it'll attached to so that you don't lose your pencil somewhere.
Right, a case that works, that has a little slider for the Apple Pencil or cover. Yeah, something like that. But it does still have that same. So this is the first gen Apple Pencil that I've just opened up and shown the back end. It looks just like this. It's got the there we go. It's got the lightning adapter, so you have to shove it into the back end, which I know Georgia is you literally just want to break it off because it just seems so terrible to have to
I've seen people in the wild charging it, and it's so hard to not go up and just what about a hand strap? Because that's my other fear, is when I'm using it, I want to use it with one hand and be able to write with it, and I have tiny hands. I think that for this size, a lot of people might be able to palm the iPad Mini. Does that sound wrong?
No, that works. That's like palming a basketball, palming an iPad Mini. Yeah, that's totally okay. Yeah.
And I worry about losing it or dropping it.
Yeah, so I actually, as soon as I bought the iPad Mini, the first thing I did is I started looking at the cases available, because the iPad Mini 5 is dimension-wise exactly the same as the iPad Mini 4, which is another thing to let everybody know. Renee, you might be able to be a little bit more clear on this. There was information that came out that said that the volume buttons were slightly larger on the iPad Mini 5 than they were on the 4, but the picture that you posted on your review, they look exactly the same size and exactly the same distance apart.
Yeah,
so okay, we're going to find out for sure. This is going to be great, because I thought that they were slightly different, but I'm starting to believe that that's not true at all. That I took my tape measure, and I know this is not very scientific, but I put it right up against the picture that he shared, and I measured them both, and they were exactly, I think it's exactly 1 inch, the buttons themselves on that picture, not in real life, with exactly a 1/2 inch in between the two Okay, so Renee is showing it to us, and so you're looking right. They're exactly the same size.
Yeah, it's just they're lower down, a little bit lower. Sorry, they're a little bit higher up on the iPad Mini 5 because there's no microphone. So
Okay, that's the difference. So the button placement, not the size of them, but the button placement is just off a little bit. So when it comes to buying a new iPad Mini 5 case, try not to get a case that has those machined buttons or those very precise cutouts. There's lots of cases out there that'll work just as good that have kind of just a big oval cutout. Those should be okay, but definitely don't go for like a waterproof case that has those machined buttons, or like a rugged case. Those ones are usually very specific where the button placement is. So hold off on those until new cases come out specific for that. And then there's the microphone placement in a different spot, which I have a feeling that a case or no case, that's not going to matter. Am I wrong?
No, well, I mean, if you are concerned about that, and maybe you should be, just take a little pin and poke it at the new microphone location on the top, and then you'll be fine.
But there's
make like a little pinprick.
Most cases
do it yourself.
Most cases don't usually have those little holes anyway, do they?
I don't know, because I don't use the back cases. I just use the front cases because I like Star Wars Millennium Falcon used technology. So the more beaten up mine look, the better.
But you don't even have a finger holder on the back. Like you really just go, like you don't have any of the really popular little sockets that stick out, or a hand strap that you've glued on, which is what I do. You can, fair. I can't really do that reliably.
Well, you have tiny hands.
I have tiny hands.
Yeah, so that I did get off track, but Georgia, I was actually going to say that was one of the things I looked at was, should I get like the Spigen style ring type holder, or a pop socket style holder, or maybe a full hand strap? I'm thinking that it's lightweight enough that just something like the ring or a pop socket is probably good enough to give you the grip you need. I don't think you'll need a full strap. I have a feeling that just something like just a pop socket would be good enough. And those are like $10 and you could get cute.
Or the little elastic ones, but the elastic sometimes gives out. Yeah, exactly. Because then really, if you're using it for work or wanting to travel with it, you can one-hand it very comfortably without worrying, unless you have very large hands where you're probably not going to have to worry. But even with my phone, I worry about dropping it, and I prefer to have a little back handle unless I'm using a leather case.
We have like 800 different products from Tim Apple this week, and we're already almost half an hour.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mentioned that the iPad Air also came out. It is nearly identical to the Mini in terms of specs, but it's now bigger. It's got the 10.5-inch iPad size, and literally the 10.5-inch smart keyboard from the last Pro. It's got a better processor than the 10.5-inch 2017 Pro. Worse cameras. Doesn't have the 4 speakers. Has 2 speakers like a normal iPad. It's got a few other little things about it that are different. Doesn't have ProMotion, but does both of them have True Tone now? So this is really, to me, the new main. Like, we had the iPad Pros on the top. We have the 9.7-inch at the bottom, and this is like a whole new mid-range. And what I love about this is at $499, it is exactly the original iPad price. But man, looking back at 2010, how far have we come? Like in terms of technology at that price point.
Yeah, they managed to keep the price the same while completely upgrading the inside of it and taking advantage of the 10.5-inch iPad Pro case that they're not using anymore. Yeah. There's no more 10.5-inch iPad Pro, so why not just use that same case, put it into a body with slightly lower specs? It's a really great way for saving a little bit of money and giving us a fairly decent advanced features on
for you guys. Like, it's got the better processor but the worst cameras, and I'm a camera nerd. I want the cameras, but it's not my primary camera, so I have an iPhone. Fine. I think for most people, the processor will give them 5 years of useful lifespan and updates, and I don't know if they'll care about the cameras as much.
If Serenity Caldwell were on this show, she would talk about how horrible it is to take pictures with an iPad anyway.
Aww.
But I see people taking pictures with their iPod all the time. So you really can't dismiss that there are people who do love to do that. And I'm not talking about like professional video editors or anything like that are trying to set up a shot. I mean, just, your aunt and uncle, they'll whip out their iPad and flip down the smart cover and take pictures.
They probably don't care about quality. Am I wrong to say that?
Yeah, you are wrong to say that. Just because they're using an iPad doesn't mean that they're not. They want great pictures too.
Send an alcoholic.
Yeah. No, send them to Georgia_Dow. But
or Sonardy's old iMore account, you can just send.
I think when it comes to when it comes to savings versus features, I think this was a good compromise, because a lot of people will have a smartphone that has a fantastic camera, whether it's an iPhone or something else. So then reducing the quality of the camera allows Apple to keep the price point lower. And I think that was a good compromise. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of people who are upset that the rear facing camera is only 8 megapixels. I don't think that's a deal breaker for very many people at all.
All right. So on the second day of Applemas, Tim Apple gave to us new iMacs, 21.5-inch, 27-inch. They are literally only spec bumps. Absolutely nothing has changed about the same awesome, I would still say industry-leading panel, same design, still has the massive bezels. We're not winning the war on bezels on my desktop yet. But they improved the chipsets. Because there's no new architecture, there's no T2 chip, but there's now Intel 8th generation Coffee Lake in the 21.5-inch, and brand new, fresh off the fab, 9th generation, wait for it, Coffee Lake refresh, because Intel still can't get the Cannon Lake. In the bigger iMac, you have new Radeon, still no NVIDIA. Sorry, CUDA Core lover friends, but better Radeons, up to Vega Pro options for those. The memory can go super high now, I think up to 32 in the 21, 64 in the 27-inch. And it's faster memory now as well. And yes, there's still that hideous hard drive option at the very low end. Fusion drives up to 3 terabytes in the 27-inch, and SSD drives, I think, up to 4 terabytes. And some people are like, why did Apple go all SSD in the laptops but not in the desktops? And I did ask that. And the answer is, in laptops, it's just not safe to have a spinning drive anymore, because anytime you drop it or bump it, you can destroy it, and then you have to take it in. I still think that's true of desktops, so don't at me. But there are some people who just want a family machine and SSDs are still expensive, and they have external drives they can back up or whatever, so they just want a cheap way to get into having a beautiful all-in-one desktop to, they're redoing their desk, and that means redoing the computer that's on it, or it's in their family room or something, and they want those lower priced options. So that's all there. And I got to take a look at them. They look great. They're smoking fast, but it really is just a spec.
So if you're upgrading from 2012 iMac, then we're talking, this is a great upgrade. But if you're upgrading from a 2015, maybe you don't need it.
It's still it's way faster. Like what they've done is, previously there was a big gap between the iMac and the iMac Pro. And now, because you can go up to an i9 Coffee Lake refresh, is it 8 core? I think it's 8 core. So literally, like, where this ends, the iMac Pro starts. So there's no gap in between anymore. It's just like you decide how much you need.
The high-end iMac is like the low-end
iMac Pro. Yeah. Just on the Xeon platform for the Pro, and on the Core Pro platform for the iMacs.
Yeah. I must admit, I'm a little sad. I would have rather not had any kind of upgrade to the iMac in exchange for next year having a bezel-less or slightly less bezeled display.
You might get both though. Like I think the MacBooks are going to go first with the redesign, and I think that for years Apple gave us nothing. If they didn't do the redesign, they did nothing. And for the last year and a half, they've been doing the spec bumps again. And I think if you're not going to do anything else, you still owe it to customers to make sure they have the latest chips in your products.
Yeah, that's true. I had a friend earlier this year who said, I really need a new iMac really bad. What do you think? Is there going to be a new one coming out? And my answer was, if there's anything that's coming out, it's going to be a spec bump. And I thought probably in June. And that morning when it came up, I sent it to him right away. Here you go. And he immediately went and bought one, because he was just waiting for that one last, is there going to be one more upgrade? I want to hold out just long enough for just a little bit of an upgrade. Yeah.
All right. So on the third day of Applemas, Tim Apple gave to us new, kind of new, sort of new AirPods. And he had like another tweet with him with the exact same picture. But this time, instead of drawing hello, it was him drawing AirPods. And someone had like photoshopped AirPods into his ears. And it was adorable.
Yeah, it was pretty cute. Again, great job on the tweets there, Mr. Cook.
So these were not the AirPods everyone was waiting for. These are not really like the ultra next generation waterproof and, with like real next generation tech in it. These are like the S year, like AirPods 1S, where it has inductive charging. It's got better battery life. It has an H1, which is Apple's new headphone chip, instead of the W1, which is converting over to be entirely wireless for, I think, Apple Watch and future products. And it's got an optional separate inductive charging case that you can buy either for your oldies or for your newies. And I made the mistake of tweeting that the AirPods were new, and it got picked up by millennial Twitter. And now I'm this is what the feedback I've gotten so far. It's, yeah, baby, find a flex on AirBuddy. Using wire to charge your AirPods is broke boy behavior, but they know black, so trash. Bro, these joints white, no noise cancellation. How am I going to seem more superior to those AirPods 1 users? Blasphemy. And then the last one I'm really confused about. If you know me, then you know my inner bougie hoe is rejoicing. So that's apparently what millennial Twitter thinks of the new AirPods.
Send us interpretations. What does that mean?
I think what they're all saying basically is they're no different than AirPods 1. So how am I going to show off how much better I am than you if mine look just like yours?
And broke boys can't afford them.
Fair.
Yeah. So
but that's fair. Yeah.
I think it's small. It's certainly not, there's no black AirPods, for example, which everybody was wishing.
That's all I want. That's all I need.
Oh, I
change nothing.
I asked it, not officially, totally, on deep background, I asked about that. And the reply I got was, I feel like black AirPods was a honeypot for the stupid.
Oh,
like Apple was never going to make them because they're so iconic. And people who were spreading that story were just...
Again, I think they'll make them. That's my thought. I think the honeypot for the stupid is happening.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint my first gen AirPods black and then just tell everybody it's fine. Just do that.
Oh, that's
AirPods 3. Oh, you have AirPods 3.
You should say you have the new AirPods.
Yes. I've got the new ones. Yeah.
And then that'll go viral. And then everyone will be heartbroken.
There's actually companies that will sell you AirPods that they have painted professionally, and you don't send them your AirPods and they paint it. They like in a factory with these crazy airplane paints. They will paint you a pair of AirPods and sell them to you. So there's ways that you can change the color of them. I think that's kind of one of those, like, really, is the color really that big of a deal to you that you won't get AirPods because
I will still get, they're great. So I would get them. But again, I've looked at skins, I've looked at other wraps. So far they're not there, but yes, getting them professionally painted would be great. So
yeah. Go do that.
I'm still waiting. Waiting.
What I am excited about, though, in the difference between the two is the hey, comma Siri, yo Siri ability. There's been I actually turned off the double tap to Siri feature because it was just frustrating for me. I kept accidentally triggering it. So the fact that I can turn off the tapping version of it and just say it to get the information that I want. I'm looking forward to that. My AirPods won't be in until I think next Tuesday or Wednesday. So I haven't had a chance to give them a try, but I think that's to me the biggest feature. I certainly don't think that this is a reason for anyone to upgrade from AirPods to AirPods 2. I just don't think it's a big enough changeover. The current generation,
battery's all worn down on the first one, because if you've had them for 2 years, those battery cycles can be devastating.
Yeah, I mean, mine have been running great. They still last a couple of days before I need to recharge. And now that I can get a wireless charging case, I could just drop it right next to my phone when I'm charging. It's pretty cool. So I don't know. I think there's probably going to be a handful of people out there who need a new battery for the AirPods themselves, but really there's not that many. And outside of needing a new battery for your wireless headphones, the upgrade is just a little too small. Unless you're, like me, and you have to have everything, which is why I got them. But I really want to.
You ordered them in red, though, didn't you?
I wish that would be nice. Red, that'd be sweet.
Product red.
Yep, it's pretty great.
So then on Thursday there was silence in heaven because Tim Apple did not release. No, because the embargo for the iPad mini reviews was Thursday morning, and I don't think Apple wanted to step on the reviews with another product announcement. But the world was waiting because there was rumors of a new iPod Touch and rumors of, dare we believe it, AirPower. But then Thursday there was nothing. And again this morning, the Guff was empty. The Hall of Souls was empty. And when Tim Cook opened the seventh seal, there was silence again in heaven because the AirPower did not arrive.
So with the AirPower, the rumors are strong that it's coming before the end of March, and I see it. I see it happening. I'm honestly just glad that we got a little bit of a break so that we could try to catch up on from the perspective of a tech journalist. Like, let us catch up. So I'm glad. If we find out Monday that they announce it and that we can buy them on Friday, that's great. That gives me a little bit of time. I love that. The other big rumor, the weird rumor that was pretty strong out of the gate, but now I'm starting to question again, is a new iPod Touch. Renee, does your
spider
magic
sense?
Does your spidey senses tingle at the possibility of an iPod Touch 7?
You know, when I asked Apple about the previous iPod Touch, which came out of nowhere, like I think it was June, and they just dropped, I just got a call from them saying, hey, we got a new iPod Touch. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah. And then again, when I was talking about the iPhone SE, they have the same answer. And that is, we have some customers who just love this form factor, and we want to make sure that they have the best experience possible with this form factor. So when Apple doesn't, they haven't canceled the iPod Touch yet. It's not lying in a grave with the Nano and the Shuffle and the Classic, RIP, REKT. It's still around. And that makes me think that there is a chance that Apple, especially if iOS 13 is going to get rid of all the A8 devices, because there's no more A9 devices, which is weird because there's still A8 devices. So if they drop compatibility for that, that's a lot. Like that's the iPad mini, which has been, fixed, and the iPad Air, which is now, modern. And the iPod Touch is one of those. So if they do want to clean out the older stuff, just doing a spec bump of some kind, they can redesign it if they want to, but whatever. Just putting a new processor in it makes a lot of sense, I think, for people who love that device.
So do you think this is are you saying strong, weak, moderate?
I think we'll see them either cancel it or update it before WWDC.
It'll be one or the other.
I'm leaning towards them updating it. Yeah, I think updating it because, if they haven't canceled it, it probably sells well enough. They don't need to cancel it. If it was a real dog, it would have been taken out back and shot already. But so I think updating it is probably what we'll see.
I think I do agree with you. I don't think they're going to get rid of it. And part of the reason is that AirPod Touch is sort of the iPad of phones. It's, something that doesn't have well, actually some iPads do have cellular, but it's like a non-cellular iPhone. It has practically all the same things in it. It's just that you don't use it to talk on the phone. You can use it for browsing the internet and taking pictures and listening to music. So there's lots of things that you can do with the iPod Touch. It's a great entry level device for kids. So parents can let their kids have something that you can even text with it. iPhone to iPhone, you can iMessage back and forth with it. So and like it's very, very feature rich considering it's not a phone. And I think it's a really great thing for Apple to keep that around.
And for developers, just who want something small to test on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think you're right.
I think for children, for kids, you don't want them to have a full phone access, but to be able to do other things. And we don't know the sales numbers. Apple hasn't come out with how many are being sold now in comparison to how many, when they first came out with the iPod.
Yeah, in fact, for a while I thought the iPod is going out the window because everyone has an iPhone now, and that's where you get your music from. But it's still a great device, so I don't see why Apple would get rid of it if it's still being sold.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that want to just play music at work or somewhere else will actually hook up the iPod
in their car.
So they don't have to finagle. They don't have to talk to it. It just runs. It plays it, and it plays it all the time. A lot of businesses also do the same thing. And so there's probably a placement for it.
As long as they keep the prices low, it would be a bad idea to upgrade the iPod Touch so much that it becomes
$1,000.
well, I don't think they would ever do that. Jeez, I hope they wouldn't ever do that. But if it becomes to that point where it's so expensive that people think it's not worth, it's more worth it to just use their iPhone, keeping the prices low. So a spec bump upgrade, but maybe keeping the structure of the phone the same.
It's $199 for 32, right? So to keep it around there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's still something that people would go ahead and buy the $200 thing just to be their music player with a couple of little extra features, or something they buy for their kids as an entry-level device. It's not crazy expensive that you can't justify buying that in addition to the things that you have. So I think it's a good thing, and I think you're right, Renee. We'll see it. As much as I want these things right away, I don't want it next week because we have so much to do still.
Oh, queen of the segue. So let's talk about that. March 25th, Apple's 4, 3, 2, 1 Showtime event kicks off. What are you going to be doing at that point in time, Lori Gill?
I believe I will be sitting right next to you.
Oh my God.
This is my first time that I get to actually attend in person an Apple event. I try not to tell people when I go to the Apple events that I'm actually in the Apple events, because it's like, yeah, I got to sit outside like the dog waiting for his master to come back. But that's usually what I do, is I just kind of hang out at a coffee shop nearby, or at Apple Visitor Center waiting for Renee to be done. And
hey, Georgia knows that was my life for like 6 years.
Yeah. And I finally get this opportunity, and I'm so happy to be able to actually attend. I'm looking forward to meeting all the people that I've been writing about, and having a good time, and having your back, Renee, for taking pictures and making sure that you do what you're supposed to do instead of just chatting with everybody.
And also, Georgia, there is no way that we're running away with Brie Larson or J.J. Abrams or any of those Hollywood, types. It's not gonna be like, see ya, bye, limo, champagne. Where's Lori? Where's Renee? They're not covering the thing.
That's exactly what my plan is.
Lori married J.J. Abrams over the weekend. What the hell is going on here? She's in the new Star Trek.
So what can we expect?
So we've already talked about a lot of this, but there was a couple of new rumors that came out that I wanted to mention. So we definitely know that we can expect the we can definitely expect the Apple TV and movie streaming service, whatever that's going to look like. There's a really, really strong chance that we're also going to be seeing the Apple News subscription service. I think we've talked about that already too. But Renee had mentioned there's a chance that we might be seeing something about a gaming service. This is another rumor that's been popping up, that Apple's working on what everyone is calling the Netflix of gaming subscription, which I know that's sort of derivative to like continue to compare things to Netflix at this point.
But thinking about this, so like I don't know. Like I'm open to Apple blowing me away, but I don't see like the super successful games like the Candy Crush, the Clash of Clans, the Pokemon Go's joining it, because they have nothing to lose but revenue. Like they're making billions of dollars. So just being one of subscription apps doesn't make any sense. There are a bunch of lesser known games that are pretty awesome. And we've seen Android game subscription services before. Amazon, we've seen like Mac app subscription services. But like you have to give up your consumables. Like, and then what does that do to gameplay? Like, let's just say Pokemon Go joins in. You don't collect Pokecoins anymore. So what's to stop you from just buying everything? Like the game mechanics, in some cases, have horribly been mutilated to fit in this freemium model, and unmutilating them and making actual good, like Mario Run would be fantastic in this model. So I just don't know what it looks like yet. I don't know what the games are, what the incentive is for developers or for players yet. But I want to be surprised.
Yeah, and to be like, what really strikes me is that if Apple is starting to launch one subscription service after another, it really does play into that idea that maybe they are going to give us a big bundle. And in order to make it worth our money, not just TV, but TV and news, not just TV and news, but TV, news, and games. So,
which suddenly now, like probably for most people, one of those areas, if you're a fan, like parents, you don't have to worry. Their kids can get a whole bunch of games, keep them entertained, and they don't have to ask me.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yes. And they don't have to ask. I don't have to worry about them buying $100 worth of Smurf berries. And that seems to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be very interesting.
Yeah. So I think if this is really happening, then that's probably what it's about, is that we are going to get bundled subscriptions. And this is just more incentive to get people on board with that, that maybe you want TV and movies, but it's not worth it to you because you don't really care about news. Or maybe you want news, but you don't really care about gaming. So this is all three of them in one, which might entice people that might have originally thought, well, I'd only want one of these. And then they look at that and go, well, you get three for this great price. And that's actually a good deal. So this, I think, is a great possibility. And the other big rumor that Thrifter managing editor Deals Silva, we like to call him Dan De Silva, he feels pretty strongly that Apple credit card with Goldman Sachs collaboration is coming on Monday. So I wanted to bring that up again because we haven't been talking about that.
Yeah, so this is the one, that I have so many mixed feels about, because it's with Goldman Sachs, which one, not the best company, two, is US only, which, a lot of international customers have real significant gripes that Apple keeps making part of the value proposition exclusive to the US or to a very small amount of countries. Like, it took 4 years for Apple News was in 3 countries for 4 years. Now it's in 5. And so people who buy an iPhone in other countries just don't get the same value. And yeah, credit card is like not intrinsic value, it's extrinsic, but it's still nice when everything works internationally, which is why I was hoping it'd be like an American Express card, which, yes, has other problems, but whatever. Anyway, the idea of this is that it would be a credit card done in partnership with Goldman Sachs that not only gave you points towards Apple stuff, but also integrated Apple Watch style technology. So you would get like completed rings for making your payments on time, getting out of debt, depositing in your savings account, sort of their coaching model to incentivize you to have good financial habits, not just good fitness habits, which I think are pretty awesome, just sadly restricted to one card and maybe probably one country.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see, but it's probably going to be just like that. One card, one country. Apple News started that way and hasn't really grown much since then. And this
Apple
is probably
Pay is cash, right? It's still US only.
Yeah. So I think you're right. It's going to be very limited. Renee, you're not going to get to use it. But do you really need another credit card?
Yeah, I'm just so torn about them. Apple, which has such a great reputation, going with Goldman Sachs. Like, out of all, like, Apple being such a huge company, you would think that they could partner up with any bank that they chose, and they would say, okay, let's do this. The choice of Goldman Sachs is strange to me because they have gone through a few scandals now, and their name is slightly sullied. And so it still perplexes me as to why they would have chosen this from the huge pool of choices they would have.
My guess is the other companies either felt they were too powerful and wanted too much from them, where Goldman Sachs is a little bit desperate and was willing to give them the control. Because for Apple, it's all about control, and was willing to give them. It's like the same thing with AT&T. AT&T would let them put out a phone that even AT&T hadn't seen, and Verizon's like, "Hey, screw you, we're not doing it." And I think the other companies are like, "Yes, but you have to do X, Y, Z," and Apple's like, "We're Apple." They're like, "Yes, but you got to do X, Y, Z." And Goldman's like, "Whatever, please."
I don't even know.
We already spent that $14 million that the US gave us.
Yeah, I don't even know why Apple needs to go with anyone versus trying this out on their own, starting off with Apple Pay and then trying to kind of build upon that instead.
Yeah, I don't have enough financial background information, but I'm guessing, and just from what I understand about the way that works, it's not easy to get into the business of banking and credit card services. I can't imagine that. It's not about money. There's so many other things that I think become these huge barriers to like participating in the world of banking and credit cards, and that's probably Apple made this decision to partner with somebody instead of just starting it themselves because of the huge obstacles. And maybe it's sort of going to be their hobby
or their stepping stone to go on their own at a later point once they know how to do this. Perhaps.
Motorola Rocker of credit cards, Georgia. For the iPhone.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people pay through their watch or their phone now using, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they'll eventually go on their own.
Yeah.
Then I'd be totally fine for. Learn it, figure out how to do it, get all of the paperwork involved, and then.
I don't know. We're all pretty in the dark with the credit card thing. I can't even talk about my speculation about it just because I just don't understand finance enough. Like if the rumor was that Apple was going to update Apple Wallet
Apple Pay.
with a bunch of new features that were helping you with finances, that were helping you budget your finances and things like that. That makes sense to me. I can wrap my head around that kind of thing that a tech company is getting into. They're, just adding these sort of budget features, and that actually already exists in the world. And so it makes sense to me in my head. But when you actually are talking about an actual credit card from an actual bank, huge banking corporation with Apple, like specifically when it comes to that part, the credit card part, that's where I'm just like, I don't know. I don't get it. I can't picture what that world looks like yet. So
one thing that's of concern to me, just, as someone who's going to have to deal with it afterwards, is that people expect toys at Apple events. They expect hot, new, cool, awesome, new, fun, new toys, new. And Apple has been putting out stuff all this week. Maybe, excuse me, to chill expectations of having toys at the event, which means we may not have any toys. It might really just be services, which at WWDC you can get away with because iOS and Mac OS and that all makes your existing toys better. And people still grumble. They still grumble when there's no hardware at a software show, because sometimes there is. So I just get a feeling like, yes, there'll be star power. There'll be Jennifer Aniston and Jennifer Garner, reportedly J.J. Abrams, maybe Brie Larson, M. Night Shyamalan, all these people, famous big stars. But I worry if there's no product purple iPhone 11, we're going to just deal with a whole bunch of people going, boring, doomed, fail.
We expect that anyways, no matter what, even if they launch a small product, just as for the people that are always angry that at a developing conference, there's no hardware, people will still probably upset. Though if Apple wants to launch the black AirPods, that they just come in black, I would be accepting of that and be happy, and I will not be one of the grumblers.
I think Apple actually positioned itself pretty well this time. If they really want to focus on nothing but their services at this Apple event on Monday, they did the right thing by bombarding us the week before with all kinds of new product stuff, because once Monday hits, we're fatigued at how much Apple just gave us, and what else is there? I don't need anything else. You just give me stuff. Sure. And I do, like, my prediction, what I believe is that they will announce on Monday that our AirPower will be available on Friday. I really think that's going to happen. So that's there. That's the hardware that I think will be there. But I think they did the right thing by giving us a bunch of, they're just updates to what already existed. But that was enough to get the fervor going, so that on Monday, when all they do is talk about services, we're going to feel good anyway, because on Tuesday, all of the things that we already ordered last week are going to be in our hands, So I think that this was a really smart move. There's even been, talk around the water cooler about this being sort of an unprecedented way to release products, not just from Apple, but from any company ever. And I think it was pretty smart. They really did a big thing to bring us a bunch of products to distract us from the fact that they're not going to be presenting any products at the event.
On the 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th day of Apple.
Yep. Well, we got 12 days.
So Lori Gill, if people want to follow you at this event and see you max excite as they announce all the cool new shows, cool new magazines, maybe cool new games, and cool new credit cards, where can they?
I will be live tweeting the heck out of the Apple event if my phone works while I'm inside the building at Appaholic, APPAHOLIK. And don't forget to follow iMore, because we're going to be covering everything top to bottom from the day it happens till the day we die.
Oh, I hope we don't die. Dying would be
or
such harsh and mellow. And Georgia, are you even doing the social thing anymore, or do you want people just to go look at your videos?
You can check out anxiety-videos.com. I am trying to stay away from all the social things. If you need to actually reach me, I do still have email, which I will be using, and that's Georgia@imore.com.
Nice. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us. You remain the absolute best audience in the whole entire universe. I don't mind saying that because screw those other galaxies. They're way worse than you people. You people are the best. Also, thanks to Jim Metzendorf for producing the show every week. All hearts and feels to Micah Sargent. That's Micah _Sargent or coffee.chihuahua.com. I forgot that in the right order. Someone registered Chihuahua. It's chihuahua.coffee because .chihuahua is not a top level domain yet. I'm fairly sure. Either way, Micah should have both of those. Make sure you check them out, and we'll be back next week with all the post-event. I was going to say insanity, but we'll be optimistic and say awesomeness. How's that?
Yes, post-event awesome.
Thanks, everybody. My bougie ho is so happy that you were all here this week. I hope that's not the show title.
Don't. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.